Mind loves nothing more than to deceive itself. And the history of humankind bears witness to that overwhelmingly. I like to say that the mind's prime directive is to deceive itself. It compulsively tries to come up with narratives about what's going on. And the criteria for choosing a narrative is not what is likely to be true, but what is likely to make you comfortable. Because narrative making is a self-defense mechanism of mind, especially of the ego complex. So I think we have to be careful when we have a psychedelic trip and we go to the Pleiades and we meet blue aliens and they tell us they're helping us avoid war by directing heart vibrations from the galactic center and all that. And we come back having that psychedelic gnosis and we say, therefore, that is all true. Well, here I would guard against. Psychedelic experiences are symbolic, just like the world is symbolic. The real message is not the message that it has on face value. It's something it's hinting at through symbolism. Why? Because the deeper layers of our minds, they don't speak English. They don't speak any language. They only speak imagery, symbol, which is the primordial language of mind. So we have to question what we experience and try to see it as a symbolic message as opposed to a literal message. But for me, the most important take-home message from my psychedelic trances, and I tend, but I'm not saying that everybody should do that, but I tend to not believe any one specific thing in my psychedelic trips. I don't do them anymore already for many years, but I did them in my mid-30s because I thought I write about consciousness. I would be a farce, and if I didn't do that, and what authority would I have to talk about consciousness? So I did them. I tend not to take anything literally. I tend not to believe any particular story. What I do take home is the following. Even if all of those stories were untrue, they felt more real than real. They felt more real than this right now. They were more concrete, more substantive, more plausible, more believable than this, more vivid, more persistent, consistent than this right now. Yet, I was not in the Pleiades. I was not in the center of the galaxy. I was lying down on my bed. What this proves to me is the capacity of mind to create compelling realities. In other words, I don't need to believe any one story to conclude what I just said with high confidence. Mind, independent of the world out there, mind is perfectly capable of creating extraordinarily compelling realities. So instead of saying that my psychedelic trips are objectively true, what I tend to say is, this right here is like a psychedelic trip. This right here is a mental creation too. You see the movement I do. Instead of carrying reality, a literal reality to the trip, I take the capacity of mind to create realities back to this world, to the standard waking state. For me, that's the most compelling thing about a trip. There is another one very compelling as well, which is we are not the ego. In a psychedelic trip, you can go through ego dissolution, which is like nuking the ego. Nothing is left. It just blows apart and you're sure you are dying. And sure enough, the ego is dying. But surprisingly enough, after that, there is still an experiencer, which is not individual. It's not separate from the world. It doesn't have spatial boundaries. It doesn't have a narrative of self-identity, like I was born on that date. No, it's not even human. What is left isn't even human. It's pure subjectivity. That's the other high confidence conclusion from psychedelic trips. So number one, mind can create compelling realities, more compelling than this right now. This can surely be mental. It's entirely plausible that it is. I feel it in my heart because I had psychedelic trips. And two, you are not your ego. After you take an axe to your ego or a nuclear bomb and you blow it in the middle of your ego and it's vanished, it's gone, the real you is still there. The witness, the subjectivity is still there. And it experiences all that. You aren't, have never been, and will never be your ego.